Thanksgiving is one of the most popular American holidays. It's a time marked by families and friends getting together for a festive meal and fellowship. In Chicago and many other communities across our country, it's also time with interfaith Thanksgiving observances and efforts to serve those who are hungry or in distressed circumstances. Hello, I'm Nisan Chavkin, Executive Director of the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago. Welcome to the November edition of Sanctuary.
Welcome to Sanctuary, bringing you conversation and stories at the intersection of life and faith. This edition of Sanctuary is produced in cooperation with the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago.
Today our conversation focuses on what it means to be thankful and how that belief finds expression in some of the religious communities of Greater Chicago. Joining me for our discussion today are Rabbi Shoshana Conover, Associate Rabbi at Temple Sholom in Chicago, Ms. Georgia Gavaris, Director of the Greek Orthodox Philoptochos Feed the Hungry program, and Ms. Asayo Horibe, President of the Buddhist Council of the Midwest. Ladies, welcome to this show, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And to begin, I think it's useful for all of us to sort of get a grounding of what does your tradition teach about being thankful, about gratitude, and where does it come from? How do we direct it, and where do we go? And whoever wants to start. Rabbi, would you maybe give us a launch there?
Sure. Well, I'll say something that I love is that every morning when we wake up, the very first thing that we do is we say a blessing of gratitude. And the words of it actually tell us, thank you, God, for returning my soul to me and renewing it in the evening. So it's as though every time we wake up, it's this miraculous thing, because the ancients believed that sleeping was almost a mini death. So then to wake up in the morning was this great miracle, this new life almost that we have just by waking up in the morning. And I love that feeling of just starting the day with gratitude, and then you continue the day in that way if you're so inclined. But it's, I think essentially it's up to us to make sure that we're noticing all the miracles that happen to us each and every day.
In our tradition, we start with a prayer in the morning every time we get up, after you wash your face, with a prayer of thankful that we are up, and a prayer of keeping us healthy at night when we go to bed. So it's in our worship, the first thing we do is thankful. We are thanking God for keeping us that way. We're asking for forgiveness for not doing what we have done or not done during our life, and then we're asking for His grace to continue on
For the rest of the day?
For the rest of the day, the rest of the life.
The rest of our lives, okay.
Wow.
Asayo.
Buddhism teaches us that life is the most precious thing, and that every day we should be grateful to be alive and to be aware of everything that's going on during the day. We are grateful before we start eating, and we say, in one sense, a grace saying, in the Japanese tradition, it's itadakimasu, but you would bow and be grateful for all those who have contributed to being here, to be able to have a meal, to be able to experience life every day.
I love that. I love that also because in Judaism, when we pray 3 times a day, we pray a central prayer called the Amidah. And when we get to the prayer for gratitude, being thankful for everything, we bow at that point in the blessing, both in the beginning of it and also at the end of that blessing. I love that we have that in common.
And these expressions of gratitude in the Jewish tradition and the Greek Orthodox tradition are directed to God? Are they directed to anyone else? Or I mean, how does gratitude show up beyond just in prayers, which are important, but I wondered if it has other dimensions of where does gratitude go? How does someone know that you're grateful?
One, by showing respect and appreciating the appreciation of everything that we have. And you greet people saying, you and I are one. And we appreciate you, we respect you, and we honor you. And this is yourself, you take care of, your family, your community, and your state, and your nation, because we have something very precious that so many other people do not have. And we have to learn that this is really great. We have something special. And if you see what's going on in the world, many people do not have what we have. And we need to be grateful. We need to know that this is something very, very special and something to treasure.
And it sounds like something that you're building every day or rebuilding every day. So every morning you wake up with a new day, right?
And you wake up. Some people do not wake up.
Well, I also like in Judaism that there's a Thanksgiving before the American Thanksgiving, which is the festival of Sukkot. And traditionally it's a harvest festival. And so we have that in common with the American Thanksgiving. But also in that time, we usually when you're doing a harvest, you want to just go inside and you want to be able to then eat your harvest and enjoy it. But instead, we dwell in Sukkot or in huts for 7 days. And I'll say that the tradition is that when you go inside a sukkah, you are to not only go in yourself, you're supposed to have it that it's open at least on one of the sides so people can come in. And then you invite in guests. And traditionally, it's called ushpizin. You invite in these supernal guests, biblical guests, that in some ways represent different aspects of the divine. But the Zohar, which is the centerpiece for the Kabbalah, says that these supernal guests will not come and enter your sukkah until you've actually invited others who are in need into your sukkah. And in that way, then, you're not only showing how you're grateful for what you have, but what you have means nothing unless it's shared among others. And this other piece of that is that if we are to invite in aspects of the divine, we have to recognize that each of us are made in the divine image. And as such, then, we're recognizing that as we invite others in, and as we're kind and respectful to others, then in that way we're showing our respect to God through our actions in this world with other people. And I think in that way, then, the more that we have, the more that we're grateful for, the more that we give back, and it's this loop that keeps us going in gratitude.
Thank you. Is there like a corresponding a gratitude specific or a harvest festival in Buddhism or in the Christian tradition in Greek Orthodoxy?
Every time we have a worship, whether it's in church or at home, it's a thankful worship. We're thanking God. We see each other that what we have, everybody else is the same as us. We realize that there's nothing that we're going to take with us. Might as well help others.
I think it's something that we do every day.
So it's more of a regular part of the process.
A daily process. So every time we're given a gift, every time we have a meal, every time we are in company of friends, it's an appreciation that we have all this, and it's not just for me, it's for everyone to appreciate and share. Farmers do it at a harvest, fishermen, and all the different walks of life have different times when in their daily work, in their daily livelihood, there's a time that at the end of the day, it's a good thing because of what you've gathered, and you see the end result of your daily work, of your daily life. It's an appreciation, and you're grateful. Many people do not have this.
It's important to acknowledge and, as you say, to share and pass on that gratitude.
And there are many people that do not know where the next meal is coming from.
Yes, and we'll return to that point in just a moment. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our discussion of Thanksgiving after a brief break.
Metropolitan Chicago is one of the most religiously diverse areas in the world, and for more than a half century, Sanctuary has reported and reflected on our faith-filled community. Sanctuary tells stories of faith from both inside our houses of worship to the streets and neighborhoods where faith is acted out every day with acts of kindness and concern. From food pantries to peace initiatives, from worship services to servicing the poor, Sanctuary has a proud history of reporting on the goodness that flows from our faith traditions. Watch Sanctuary every Sunday at 12 noon on the Live Well Network.
Welcome back to this edition of Sanctuary. I'm Nisan Chavkin of the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago. Joining me is Rabbi Shoshana Conover, Temple Sholom, Georgia Gavaris of the Greek Orthodox Philoptochos Feed the Hungry program, and Ms. Asayo Horibe of the Buddhist Council of the Midwest. And we've been talking about Thanksgiving and about being grateful in each of our traditions, and each of you has talked about the importance of gratitude not just being expressed in words or in an attitude, but actually sharing and really reaching out. And this holiday is really defined across this country by people sharing and offering specifically food or other kinds of vital resources. And Georgia, your church's program is very intriguing, and I wondered if you could tell us a little about the Feed the Hungry program and where it began and who does it serve and how does it work?
The Greek Orthodox Metropolis of Chicago has every church in the Greek Metropolis of Chicago has a Philoptochos group. Philoptochos, the word is from Greek. It stands for Friends of the Poor. The members of the Philoptochos for each church are ladies, volunteers, and their mission is philanthropy. In other words, they do whatever they can to serve the needy of the community. In 1991, the Metropolis Philoptochos, the Greek Orthodox Metropolis Philoptochos board member, president, was Georgia Gavaris, a woman of great vision. She saw the need for the hungry, researched it, who to be serving, how to be served, and with the help, the blessing of the then bishop, later Metropolitan Iakovos, she designed our program for Feed the Hungry. The whole of the Annunciation Cathedral Greek Orthodox Church was to be used for this to take place.
Wow.
The Annunciation Cathedral is located at 1017 North LaSalle. And the different Philoptochos chapters were going to be doing the serving to whoever came to our door once a month in the middle of the day. Wow. At the beginning, it was once a month, a light lunch in the middle of the day. The program was so well received by the Philoptochos chapters that within the next year it became twice a month. Now, and it started back in May of 1991. Now we are serving every second Tuesday and last Tuesday of every month, except for the month of November. In the month of November, we serve the second Tuesday and Thanksgiving Day. The Metropolis Philoptochos board provides the paper goods and a group of volunteers for each session. The chapter that's serving for the day provides and serves the food.
And how many people do you serve?
Between 1991 and now, we have served in excess of 90,000 meals to the hungry people.
Wow.
That's a great gift. And I understand you're going to be working on Thanksgiving this year?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So what's on the menu?
On Thanksgiving Day, we have a traditional Thanksgiving menu, a turkey, stuffing, sweet potato, corn, pumpkin pie.
Good. Any Greek specialties too?
Not that day.
Not that day.
Not on that day.
Just checking.
We our guests come in as if they were to go to a restaurant. They sit down and we take the food to them. Our Metropolitan, late Metropolitan Jacobus, a blessed memory, was always coming. He always said, Thanksgiving is a day for family. I'm all alone. You're my family. So here I come. So he came and served. And the tradition continues. Our new Metropolitan, Nathaniel, continues the tradition. He was there last year.
I was just curious if the Buddhist Council or Rabbi, your congregation had a similar venture, either relating to food or some other primary need on Thanksgiving. Are you staying home for your Thanksgiving, or are you on the road as well, like George is?
Well, members of our congregation will be on the road as well. We will be on the west side, or west of the stadium at Greater Bethlehem Healing Temple, where we have a partnership. We've been serving with a group of other congregations, Jewish congregations, going and bringing meals. For us, it's the second and fifth Sunday of every month. Other congregations fill in for those other months. And then on Thanksgiving, we all get together. We decorate the area in the church for a beautiful Thanksgiving dinner. Everybody brings different things. And so that's really beautiful, and we have wonderful volunteers at the temple who do that. And I'm excited that this year I'll be home for Thanksgiving, so I'll be able to, meaning in Chicago for Thanksgiving, so I'll be able to be part of that. We also, on Christmas, we go to the People's Church in Uptown, and we work in partnership with them to do a beautiful meal then, and many volunteers from Temple Sholom go there then. Something that we've been doing for the last, I want to say, 15 years at Temple Sholom. Before that, we did this at another church where we serve a Monday meal. So it's a 4-course sit-down meal for our guests who come in, and we make sure that everything is really served. The key word for us in the serving of the meal is kavod, which means respect. So we treat everyone with dignity, all of our guests with dignity. And we always make sure that it's a healthy, well-rounded meal that's made from scratch every week. It used to be that we went and we served it at another place, but after that place had to close, then we started to host it in our synagogue. At the time that we started that under an incredible Rabbi Amy Memes Fuller, it was just monthly. And then she worked hard, and then Rabbi Taryn Tackman took ownership of this, and he was able then for us to do it twice a week, and then twice a month, and then finally we were able to do it weekly. So every Monday, with the exception of a few times when holidays close our building, we serve a sit-down 4-course meal. We call it the Monday Meal Mitzvah. And we have incredible volunteers that serve. Every table has a server, sometimes more than one. People work the line as far as making sure that everything gets plated well. We have baristas. Many people from the congregation volunteer, as well as teens and just preteens from many of the nearby schools as well.
Wow. That sounds nice.
Well, it's wonderful. The Buddhist Council has many churches and temples and centers all over the Midwest area. There's a Chinese nun who lives out in Naperville, and she serves meals to the homeless every day. Midwest Buddhist Temple provides sandwiches. They have a day, more than maybe monthly, where they gather and make sandwiches with fruit and a treat to pass out to the homeless that are numerous all over the city, especially when they were underneath the viaduct on Wilson Avenue and Montrose. And they also collect and recycle plastic bags and take them apart and crochet mats for the homeless so they're not sleeping on the wet ground. We're also part of Evanston's Interfaith Action, and we provide shelters during the month of November up until March. The temperature has to be below a certain degrees, and they open up certain churches and centers, temples, that provide overnight sleeping and some refreshment. Personally, my family every year, because we celebrate all the holidays, we have everything that we need, and we make packets of clean socks, shampoo, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, things that somebody could need just for personal hygiene. And all of our friends would gather at my daughter's home in Skokie, and we would have an assembly line of packing things, and then I would take it to Interfaith Action. My daughter and my two grandchildren would go and see homeless people on the street, or they would stand one area and pass it out to people that need it. And this is done during our holiday season, so everybody contributes. And with high technology, my daughter would order things online with soap, and we're getting black socks now. Somehow there was a mistake, we got white socks.
But black socks are the thing.
Black socks are the thing.
Got it.
So we passed that out. But one of the Thai temples in Uptown, during the season from November to December, and the date would change, they would accept contributions of winter coats and snacks and things that people can use every day, and they would set out tables on Racine Avenue and pass this out. They would make it known to the people in the community, because they're not necessarily homeless, but there are people who don't have the money to get winter gloves, jackets, and things. So they do this during the month, either the end of the month of November or in December.
There's more that we're going to cover on this topic, and we'll just please stick around, and we'll be back after just a brief break.
Metropolitan Chicago is one of the most religiously diverse areas in the world, and for more than a half-century, Sanctuary has reported and reflected on our faith-filled community. Sanctuary tells stories of faith from both inside our houses of worship to the streets and neighborhoods where faith is acted out every day with acts of kindness and concern. From food pantries to peace initiatives, from worship services to servicing the poor, Sanctuary has a proud history of reporting on the goodness that flows from our faith traditions. Watch Sanctuary every Sunday at 12 noon on the Live Well Network.
I'm Nisan Chavkin of the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago, and in this episode of Sanctuary, I've been talking about Thanksgiving with Rabbi Shoshana Conover of Temple Sholom, Ms. Georgia Gavaris of the Greek Orthodox Philoptochos Feed the Hungry program, and Ms. Asayo Horibe of the Buddhist Council of the Midwest. And for many years, the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago has conducted an interfaith Thanksgiving observance hosted by the Chicago Temple. This year's program will take place at noon on Wednesday, November 27th. The observance features representatives from each of your traditions and many others who offer Thanksgiving prayers and readings and music and even dance. And Chicago is not alone, for communities across the United States host interfaith Thanksgiving observances. And I'm just curious, this is a very American thing to do, to have these kinds of interfaith gatherings more and more frequently, and in towns large and small, not just in big places like Chicago. And it just seems so, to me, automatically American, and I've visited in other places, and it's not automatically what people do. And I wondered if any of you had participated in something like that, an interfaith Thanksgiving program, and what do you think, what does it say about us? What does it do for all of us individually?
We're not alone out there. We're in there together. We're all God's children, and we are there. We understand one another.
I've participated in interfaith gatherings and practices most of my life. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Hyde Park, which is a multi-ethnic, multicultural area. And with all my friends, we have different activities, and we have interfaith peace prayer twice a year. We have my holiday gatherings, and I used to have a holiday gathering where in December there's a Buddhist holiday, there's a Christian holiday, and also sometimes the holiday for Hanukkah. So I would label the invitation, let's come and decorate the Hanukkah bush, the Bodhi tree, and the Christmas tree, which are symbols of each one of the traditions. So all of my friends are from different backgrounds and different traditions. And just knowing each one of the practices and the beliefs helps us to protect, respect, and share with one another the beauty of each one of our traditions, because it teaches us that we can love one another, we can play together, we can actively work together to try and bring some harmony.
Well, I'm so grateful to be in Chicago with such a culturally diverse population, as well as having so many faith traditions, and for us to be able to celebrate holidays together means a lot. And I'll also say that for us at Temple Sholom, one of the things that we also really, when we're working closely together with others around improving our world, we have very close ties with other faith groups in order to not only feed the hungry, and serve others, but also the ability to really get at root cause and try to make bigger change in being able to improve the lives of others as well, and for us to always work with people across faith and even with people of no faith. It means a lot for us.
So Thanksgiving is not the only opportunity where
we come together. But I will say that one of the pieces of the Monday meal that was really inspired by the work of Grant Pick of blessed memory, he was such a Chicago figure and brought so many people in, so that our volunteers at Temple Sholom on the Monday meal are from lots of different faiths. Mm-hmm. But I'll also say that when we have our Thanksgiving Monday meal, we have an expanded meal. So we're able to serve about 130 guests that evening in a beautiful space. And we have music and we have prime rib. We really pull out all the stops to be able to have it a really beautiful meal for everyone.
It sounds like Annunciations.
Well, we only learn from the best.
Sounds very good.
Thank you.
Very good indeed. Well, I want to thank all three of you, Asayo and Shoshana, for joining me in talking about this remarkable American holiday and the remarkable things that your traditions do and the people in your traditions do to express gratitude, not just in words, but in the most meaningful of deeds. So I want to thank you, and on behalf of the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago, I'm Nisan Chavkin. I want to thank you for watching Sanctuary and to wish all of you a Thanksgiving of warmth